Mahadev, 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 Mahadev. Is the sound in the audio video clear?
Mahadev Swamiji. It is clear, Swamiji.
All right. So let us start. Let's get going. Om. Om Yo Brahmanam Vidadhat Yo Vai Vedanscha Prahinoti Tasmai Tam Hadevamatma Buddhi Prakasham Mumukshurvai Sharanamaham Prapadye. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Namo Brahmadityo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Katribhyo Vamsharashibhyo Mahatbhyo Namo Gurubhyaha Sarvopaplavarahitaha Prajnanakhana Pratyagartho Brahmaivahamasmi Brahmaivahamasmi. Vedantartha vibhasakaya Gurave Shantaya Sannyasine Nanavadi Nakendra Sanghabhavaye Yogindra Vandyaya Cha Mohattvanta Divakaraya Bhagavatpadavidam Vibrate Tasmai Bhashyakrite Namostu Satatam Purnaya Buddhatmane. Arjuna has found a legitimate reason, at least which he can justify as legitimate, to give up his duty. Duty meaning that what is ought to be done by a person. No matter who that person is, where he is, each one of us, in whichever situation that we may be, one may be, will have to respond to the situation. Then that response to the situation in the most appropriate way is what is ought to be done by the person. And therefore, that becomes the duty of the person, that which is obligatory, because it is something that is ought to be done. This is how he obtains himself in a situation. Arjuna has arrived on the battlefield with the full awareness of the duty, or that what is the most appropriate course of action for him, and assuming its responsibility on his own shoulders. And that's why he says, Kayan Maya Sahayottam, and all that. I want to see, observe who are those people who have dared to lift the weapon against me. Because Arjuna has defeated all these people who are standing as their, the commanders and chieftains of the various sections of the army in the Kaurava line have been defeated by Arjuna. Whether it is Drona or Bhishma, etc., Karna, they all have eaten dust at his hands. So for Arjuna, he has taken that, yes, I'm fighting for the right reason. Sometimes fight becomes inevitable. And we are talking about an extreme situation. Not everywhere that a person has to keep on fighting. But there are situations where now fight becomes inevitable when pushed to the extreme corner. All right. Oh no, there are ways out. There are ways till a point where these ways can be worked. But when the ways, all the ways have been tried and nothing works, then one has to respond appropriately in a way of fight. Not that, Arjuna is a fight monger or a warmonger, both bloodthirsty. And no, they have tried every means. In fact, in the first chapter too, you will observe that the war is declared open not from the Pandava side. In fact, it is declared open from the Kaurava side when Bhishma, the grandsire, blows the conch. Now, if somebody is going to hit you, you will have to defend. And even with those defenses, the person does not retrieve, then you will have to take an offensive stand to protect. And there is nothing wrong about it. Do not glorify the wrong values. Okay. Now, Arjuna knows what his duty is, but he wants to avoid it. And when has he found that he should be avoiding and he should be giving it up? When the sudden awareness, no, this is just not an ordinary battle like the battles that I have really fought earlier. Now, I have to see the death of the people whom I love. And therefore, now Arjuna wants to avoid it. Arjuna wants to avoid it. And with that want, he has already given a justification from a different angle before the first chapter. When we come to the second chapter, we find that Arjuna says, even if I was to win this war, gain the kingdom, and not only the kingdom, this particular kingdom, all the kingdom of all the three worlds and all the pleasures and everything, all the wealth, power, kissing my feet, yet I do not see that all these things have the capacity to put an end to the basic problem of human existence, and that is the problem of misery, suffering. Because even a person in the most powerful position also can suffer. The person who is unequivocally popular, the most popular person, is also suffering. The person with children is also suffering. The one without children is also suffering. Man is suffering, woman is suffering, educated person is suffering, uneducated person is suffering. Whether it is a person from some third world country or a person from the first world country, does not matter. The person suffers. And therefore, the basic problem of human existence is suffering, and to put an end to this suffering, the economic solutions, the social solutions, the national, international solutions, the laukika, paralaukika solutions of even transporting you to heaven, etc. All these solutions do not really work. So the suffering remains, and therefore, if the suffering still remains, that means you have not really found the solution to the problem of the human existence. And therefore, he with folded hands tells Bhagavan Krishna that, Lord, please show me that solution which can put an end to this suffering. Because presently I am also suffering, and I want to put an end to this suffering. Victory in the war, or gaining the heavenly worlds, etc., is also not really going to put an end to the suffering that I am undergoing, and therefore please show me how suffering can be ended. To which Bhagavan Shri Krishna then said that suffering is basically because a person does not know his true nature. All right, we have discussed this exhaustively in the earlier classes. The topic will keep on coming, and it will also get clarified in नहीं 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 ठीक है बैठो वो कोई ना कोई है वहां पे देख लेंगे sorry so now he says that Krishna Bhagavan says that because one does not know that one, by the very virtue of his nature, is Purnavastu, is infinite. Okay? Oh, but we are not infinite. You are saying you are not infinite only because you do not know. And therefore, not knowing, and therefore not what I say because I do not know and therefore it is true, such kind of a statement has got no meaning. This is foolishness. It is not there because I don't know. Is not wisdom. Is just declare. Is just go and tell. I think somebody should be there. Aradhana will know. The Jugni is going crazy. Anyway. So now Bhagavan Shri Krishna says it is because of ignorance. Okay. So who is it who can gain this knowledge is a question. It is so if the problem is because of ignorance, then obviously the ignorance will be mitigated by knowledge, and therefore knowledge is the solution. So the problem of suffering is mitigated through the solution of knowledge. That's one thing. So here we have the first part where Shri Krishna Bhagavan now has given the solution. Is it not to me? He will understand. Anyway, ठीक है. Then the thing is, who is it who is qualified for knowledge is the other question. And the one who is qualified for knowledge is a person who wants nothing in this world, only the end of suffering. What does he want? The end of suffering. He does not want transformation of suffering. I will explain to you what is meant by transformation of suffering. With a simple example. Now look at this. A person says, I am unhappy because I am unmarried. Okay? I am unhappy because I am unmarried. Then he gets married. Now he says, I am unhappy because I got married to the wrong person. And therefore I want to look for a right person. So in different words, I am unhappy because I am not divorced. So I am unhappy because I was not married. I am unhappy because I am married. Situations have changed, but the suffering continues. So suffering has transformed into a new situation. This is transformation of suffering. Fundamentally, nothing changed. Fundamentally, nothing has changed. It is the person is the same. What is that person? I, the sufferer. I, the sufferer. That is there. And therefore, I am unhappy because I don't have progeny. I am unhappy because I don't have wealth. I am unhappy because I am not popular. I am unhappy because I have not gone to the heaven. All these things are nothing but transformations of suffering. So the earlier suffering is not there. The suffering of not being married is not there. Now the suffering is the suffering of being married. And therefore, suffering does not change even if one is able to gain putra, vitta and loka. Therefore, gaining the putra, vitta, progeny and pleasures and popularity and power and position and all these things really does not put an end to the problem of human existence, the basic problem, the fundamental problem. Okay? Whether the Ukrainian war should, Russia should be at war or not, this is not fundamental. What is the fundamental problem of human existence? It is the problem of suffering, whether it was during the time of Mahabharata, or it is during the time of Shankaracharya, or it is during the time of Rajiv Gandhi, or it is at the time of Modi ji, it does not matter. Yeah, and if it is going to be in India, elsewhere, up above some Eskimo or some African, somebody living in Amazon, hey, the problem, as long as it is a human being, this is the problem of suffering. And therefore, because of not knowing that Atma is Purna Vastu, one discovers himself to be incomplete. And this incompleteness, the sense of incompleteness, the sense of unfulfillment haunts the person, prods the person into various activities, etc. Therefore, now, who is a person who can put an end to the suffering? The one who has recognized transformation of suffering is not a solution. And because now he sees that the transformation of suffering is not a solution, he does not seek these superficial solutions. Okay? He does not seek a first aid. He seeks that fundamentally something needs to be fixed. So therefore, he who now seeks knowledge has no other pursuit. Putra, vitta, lokadi pursuit is not there. Putra, vitta means of, of pleasures and what do they call it? Of progeny, of wealth, securities, and all these things, all put together. Lok, parlok, all these pursuits are not there for that person. They're insignificant. They're not just insignificant, they have zero value for him. Because they have zero value for it, the scheme through which progeny, wealth, popularity, power can be attained, the scheme, the method, the cause through which all these things can be attained now become irrelevant for him, immaterial for him. As a result, he gives up that scheme. Then what is that scheme? Such scheme we call as karma. It is through the action. If you want progeny, pleasures, or appeasement of senses, or appeasement of ego, or you want some wealth, or you want power, position, or even reaching the heaven, karma, the action, will become the cause. Whereas now he has found that all these things are irrelevant, and therefore even that which is the cause which can bring this to me also is irrelevant. He gives up the action. So therefore the karma sannyasa has taken place. The relinquishment of karma is there for a person who seeks only knowledge. The relinquishment of karma is there for a person who seeks only knowledge. Don't forget the word only. In fact, if you need, put that in capital letters and add even inverted commas to it. Only knowledge. Therefore, sarva karma sannyasa is possible only for such a moksha. When Shri Krishna Bhagavan said this, it clicked Arjuna. Arjuna said, I any which ways wanted to give up my duty, karma, because duty means doing the karma, the actions. I want to give up this karma, Now I have found a legitimate reason why I should give it up. What is your legitimate reason? Because I want moksha. Okay? Because I want liberation. And therefore, I should give up karma. So now I seem to be having a holy sanction from Shri Krishna. He has given me a nod of approval to do this. Just as this is what Arjuna was going to think or say or do, Krishna Bhagavan said, Arjuna, though this is true, yet you are qualified only for karma. Karma does not bring liberation. Sure, I have asked for liberation, but you are asking me to do karma. And therefore now, Arjuna's mind is perplexed. I have asked for liberation, and liberation comes through karma sannyasa, through knowledge, through that. And you are asking me to do the karma which is not the direct cause of liberation. Why? What is this? And therefore, now in the second shloka, Arjuna expresses that the words of Shri Krishna, instead of giving him clarity, are confounding him. Okay? The words are actually confounding him. Now we have to read through this and also conclude what exactly is the topic. The topic is not just in relevance relevance to the topic is just not in reference to Shri Krishna and Arjuna. If it was Shri Krishna and Arjuna, some historical thing is there, and why get into all those things? Our problems we have. So it is in fact at a much higher level than just reducing it as a historical situation. It needs to be seen from yet another angle, and let us go to that as our teachers will lead us. So wherever possible, I have taken the reference of Bhagavan Bhashyakara and the parampara, the tradition of teachers, acharyas. Presently, I'm going to bring to you from Srimad Sundara Saraswati. So now, let us recite the shloka, the verse number 2, look at its word meaning, and then proceed further to understand what is brought by this particular verse. Number 2. Vyameshrenev vakyena Vyameshrenev vakyena Buddhim mohayasiva me Buddhim mohayasiva me Tadekam vadanishchitya Tadekam vadanishchitya Yena shreyohamapnuyam Yena shreyohamapnuyam. Hey Shri Krishna, O Lord, Vyamishreneva vakyena. It is through these confounding statements. Buddhi mohayasiva me. You are confusing my mind. Through these confounding statements, you are confusing me. And therefore, out of those two, whether I should do karma or I should go for the karma tyaga, please tell me clearly. Karma tyaga means the relinquishment of karma, giving up. Huh? Ha. Tadekam vadanishchitya. You nishchitya, you yourself arrive at a particular proper conclusion, and then vada, then tell me. Yena aham shreyaha apnuyam. By that I may attain what the highest that I want to attain. Okay, this is the sentence, the word meaning. Now, Madhusudan Saraswati ji, giving a little introduction to this, he says, Sarveshwarasya Sarveshtadainaha tava Mam Bhaktam Shishchasteham Shadhimam Ityadina Tvad Eka Sharanatayopasannam Prati Pratarana Nochita Ityadinaya. You know, I have taken refuge at your feet, saying that I have revealed that I'm really ignorant at this point. And therefore, you give me that knowledge by which I will be able to attain the highest meaning, liberation. There cannot be anything higher than the end to the suffering. Huh? Remember the story of King Midas? You remember the story of King Midas? Huh? I think all of us have heard this story in our junior schools, you know. So there is this king, and he is extremely fond of gold, wealth. Now ask who in this world is not. Everybody wants wealth. Give me money, give me money, give me money. So somebody told a person, money does not give peace. So the other person says, but peace does not give money. So this King Midas wants gold. And somehow some fairy or god knows which or whatever gives him a boon by which it is said that anything that he touches will turn into gold. So he keeps touching everything in the palace, the tables, the chairs, the spoons, the plates. Then the food comes and he touches, the food turns into gold. Now he can't even eat. He wants to drink water. Can't even drink water because now that it has turned into gold. Problem. Is it? Just then his daughter comes over there and finds the father crying. And she goes and hugs the father. Father also hugs her back. And his daughter also turns into gold. So a person may get everything, all the wealth in this world, and yet the suffering will not end. That's the story. Yena shreyohamapnuya. What is the highest? Therefore, highest is what you will say. Shreya means that which is the highest good. That what can be, what is supremely desired is highest. He then therefore says, end of suffering is highest. Dukkha. Ahamahamanuya. So I have approached you with my folded hands to save me from suffering, to take me across this suffering, not transform my suffering, etc. And then you made it also very clear. It is by knowing the true nature of the self that one goes across all suffering. Tattarati shokam atmavit is the Upanishad statement. Now, and that knowledge is also gained by a person who wants nothing and therefore he has relinquished all karma. I also want it and therefore I want to relinquish karma and only pursue knowledge. Therefore, you should tell me that Arjuna, if this is what you want, then better relinquish all the karma, including the karma of doing this duty of fighting the battle even now, and run into the jungle, sit into a cave or seek a guru. A lot of people do that we want to give up our duty and then disguise our escapism as spirituality. Hey, it's not it. I don't want to take the responsibility and do my duty, and therefore the best way is to say that I am spiritual. I am spiritual. So I want to give up this thing and go away. Instead of you actually telling me that, yes, Arjuna, you should be going because you want end of suffering, therefore you should go give up the karma. You are asking me to do the karma, which is not the means to liberation. Therefore, you seem to be mocking at me. You seem to be mocking at me. Iti. Now I am your Shishya, Shishyasteham, and you are also Sarveshtadainaha. Tava, this kind of pratarana, this kind of mockery does not suit you. It doesn't become of you. No chita. No chita. When this is what was concluded in the earlier verse, that you should not be doing this to me. To which we have to now, in between those lines, we have to think about, yes, Shri Krishna in a way, without uttering a word, has already conveyed a message. And that is, Nanu Naham Gashchidapi Pratarayami. I am not, what do they call? Deceiving anyone. Not deceiving, not doing any mockery of anyone, not deceiving anyone. Na pratarayami. Kim punaha tvam atipriyam. And why should I do it to you who is extremely dear to me? Tvam tu kim me pratarana chinnam pashyasi chet. Do you see any indications of me deceiving you? Maybe Shri Krishna must have raised his eyebrows. What? Tvam tu kim me pratarana chinnam pashyasi chet tatra aham gami shreyeva vakya. And therefore, now the second sentence of Arjuna, saying that you are not, but the sentence is that whatever you have spoken has confused me. Huh? Has confused me. And therefore I need clarity. That is what I really want. Not that I'm saying that you're deceiving or mocking me or mocking at me or anything, but I simply mean is that I am confused. I need clarity. Okay. Tava vachanam vyamishtam navavati eva. Look at Bhagavan. Though your vakyas, your statements are clear, yet mama, for me, they become a little matter of confusion. And that is because of two reasons. That you are asking me to do the karma. I have asked you what is the cause of liberation. You said definitely not karma. In fact, giving up of karma and then pursuing knowledge alone is the way to liberation. Then obviously, when I have asked you that show me the way to liberation, you should have told me give up karma and pursue your path of or a pursuit of knowledge. Instead of that, you have said Arjuna, therefore do karma. And hence these statements are definitely, oh Lord, I have not been able to understand clearly what is conveyed by you. And therefore, there is a demand for clarity. What is Arjuna actually demanding over here? Clarity of understanding, seeing something very clearly. So, Madhusudan Saraswati further says, Parama Karunikatvat Tvam na mohayasi. Mamatu Swashayadoshan moho bhavati iti eva shabdartha. Now, if you look into the original verse, mohayasi eva me. Eva is there. Mohayasi eva. Eva means as if you are confusing me. As if you are confusing me through the confounding statements, opposing statements. You are confusing, as if confusing me. Eva, though you are not, and why are you not purposely confusing me or anything? You can't do that because Paramakarunikattvat, because you are extremely compassionate. You are extremely compassionate. Though on the battlefield and in the Pandava camp, yet Krishna is compassionate, is not denied even by the commanders and the great people of the Kaurava army, including Bhishma, Drona, Gandhari, Dhritarashtra, everyone. Well, at least that much they know that he's compassionate. So, Paramakarunikattvat tvam na mohayasi eva mamatu swashaya doshan. But my own mind, my structure of the mind is such that I have defects and hence I'm getting confused at this point. Then how is this? What is the nature of that confusion? Look at it. This is Shastrartha. And I want people, those who are studying over here and following these discourses, to be a little more oriented in a way the Shastras reveal themselves. And therefore, my request to all the students who are present is do not consider these discourses or our whole study, whole attempt, only as something, something nice, feeling nice and getting entertained. Keep the attitude of wanting to understand, an, an attitude to understand. Oh no, we want inspiration from Bhagavad Gita. Don't even keep that attitude that we want to feel inspired and go out and then, quote left, right, and center or anything. No, sir. You don't have to prove to anybody that you are smart. If you are, actions speak louder than words. So your actions will do that job and will prove. You don't need to. But presently, in this 1 hour that we are able to meet, our attitude should be that we want to understand in depth, because this is something. Bhagavad Gita is equivalent to the Upanishad. That which is considered to be the epitome of human knowledge, wisdom. Not only that, just as a Hindu teacher or coming from this parampara, coming from this tradition that I say, but even those scholars who came with an attitude to belittle the Vedas, Upanishads, etc. What happened to this? Okay, all right, thank you. They also then fell in love with this, and they said that there cannot be anything better than the Upanishad. And therefore, you are handling something which is extremely sacred. Okay? So if we can keep any kind of frivolous attitude at bay, it would be really advantageous to both teacher and student. All right. So now, एकाधिकारित्वे विरुद्धयोः समुच्चय अनुपपत्तेः. Now, the first part of it is a person who therefore wants transformation of suffering, and a person who wants an end of suffering, can you say are both the same? They are two different, definitely different. Because someone who has understood that transformation of suffering is not end of suffering, but end of suffering is end of ignorance, are not they two different? And therefore, the adhikaris are different. The adhikaris meaning the qualified people are two different. And he who now does not want transformation of suffering means, just don't say that, the person is able to say, not just able to say, his whole being reflects that. Even in the dream, he doesn't chase anything like putra, vitta, loka. So therefore, adhikaris are different. Ekadhikari, if therefore you are going to say that, well, the pursuit, exclusive pursuit of knowledge, and also the pursuit of other objects can be had by one person, that is not possible. So, samuchaya of karma and jnana is not possible. Why? Because adhikaris are different. Samuchaya anupapatti. There is anupapatti. It cannot be justified. It cannot be explained because it is not there. And therefore, samuchaya anupapatti. Well, if you are going to say that what is delivered by knowledge is also delivered by karma, then that is also not true, because knowledge delivers end of ignorance, because knowledge delivers end of ignorance. And what is it that the karma delivers? Delivers pleasures or progeny or wealth or popularity, so on and so forth. Ihalok, paralok, etc. Okay, karma can give you that. Therefore, you cannot say what is attained through knowledge and what is attained through karma is also the same, and therefore you can choose either karma or knowledge and then go to the final end. No, sir, that is also not possible. And therefore, karma and knowledge are not two options. They are not options. For something to be called as option means that what A can deliver, B also should be able to deliver. If A can deliver the same as what B can deliver, then you have an option to choose between A and B. And therefore, A and B can be options to each other, mutual. Correct? Therefore, he says, ekarthatva bhavena cha vikalpa anupapatte. Now, it cannot be even treated as vikalpa. Samuchaya also cannot be there. You yourself have said that adhikari bheda is there, that the qualified people for these two are different. And therefore, when this is the case, and I have asked for liberation, you should have told me to take to karma tyaga, the relinquishment of karma and pursuit of knowledge. But you have said, please do karma. And therefore, this kind of statement of yours, though it has got some substance to it, which I am not able to see or understand, yet it is causing confusion to me. So, what is it that because of which there is confusion? Not because what you have said has caused confusion, because I am not able to see. And therefore, that the word eva plays a very important role in understanding this Arjuna. Otherwise, it will be Arjuna's accusation. It is not Arjuna's accusation. Then what is it? It is Arjuna's declaration of his helplessness. It is Arjuna's declaration that I am helpless because I am not able to understand. This is my inability. And therefore, please tell me one thing through which I will be able to go further. Evam jnana karma nishthayoho ekadhikaritve vikalpa samuchayayoho asambhavat adhikari bhedajnanaya arjunasya prashna iti sthitam. So now, actually speaking, Madhusudan Saraswati Rishi, he concludes this particular verse by saying what is the crux of this verse delivered so far is Arjuna actually is demanding to know as who is qualified for liberation and who is yet not qualified for liberation. Got it? Who is qualified means the one who has now the capacity to be the appropriate receptacle for knowledge to take place. And therefore, now the whole verse, though it is seen as a drama between or a dialogue between Shri Krishna and Arjuna, the actual topic is who is the qualified person for karma tyaga and who should follow the karma, who is qualified for liberation and who is not. Then, if somebody is not qualified for liberation, what should he do? Sink into depression. Then he should strive to make himself qualified for that. Okay? He should strive to make himself qualified for that. And this strife, this every attempt that a person is going to make to qualify himself to become the right receptacle for the knowledge, then is the meaning of spiritual life for person A. And what is the meaning of spiritual life for another person? It simply means that not being distracted by anything, simply giving himself to the pursuit of knowledge. There are two different things. Okay? So now, with this much understanding, we will proceed further to see how Bhagavan Shri Krishna resolves this doubt, this issue, these questions. Because it means he is not going to leave any scope for a person to justify weakness as a spiritual person. Which means that yes, doing duty, doing what is appropriate, doing what is right and hence it is righteous, doing what is right in tandem with dharma, in tandem with righteousness, it should resonate with dharma. Your actions, emotions, reactions, responses have to be in resonance with dharma. Then that is your duty. And then even doing the duty also can take you, also is going to, that is how that is going to lead you to actually what is knowledge, which finally puts an end to the ignorance, which is the mother of all suffering. This is how we are going to proceed, but we will have to proceed as Bhagavan Shri Krishna, the teacher, is going to lead us to his words. Let us do that as we keep proceeding ahead. So we have completed the second verse today. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Shankaram Shankaracharya Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha Ishvaro Gururatmiti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshina